And welcome to Let's Play Dwarf Fortress. A beautiful, wonderful game that is actually a simulation of a fantasy world. To those who don't know, it's quite similar to RimWorld. Actually, RimWorld was inspired by Dwarf Fortress. And I do believe that even Minecraft was quite inspired by Dwarf Fortress, because Dwarf Fortress is an ancient game that recently got re-released on Steam with fresh graphics, fresh sound, fresh music, and fresh UI. However, it's still quite inaccessible to new players. And I just wanted to make a Let's Play series where you can see what roughly you need to do in the beginning and to avoid the pitfalls that most players go down and see their fortress fail. Mostly it's about flooding. Oh no, I forgot to pull the levers. No. Or fire, or aggressive elephants that seek vengeance for their dead relatives. So how do you avoid that? Just watch this series and hopefully I'll be able to teach you what you need to start your own amazing fortress. So we first begin by creating a new world, and we have these parameters here. Now you can change them. Most of them I think are actually fine by default. World map size won't affect much of your game because you're gonna play roughly around your fortress. History length, it's better to have 100 years than 5 years. Maybe 500 years is also interesting. This affects how much the civilizations have spread in the world and how much the relationships between them have evolved. Number of civilizations changes, how much the how much of the map is occupied by different civilizations. We don't want it to be too high because it's going to be crowded. We don't want it to be too low because then there's nobody to trade with or fight with even. Number of sites, that's your dragon lairs, goblin pits, and necromancer towers. So how much interesting features can you find on the world map is defined by this one. So if it's very low, then there's almost nothing on the world. If it's very high, then it's too crowded again. Number of beasts, there's forbidden beasts that are automatically generated by the game. That could be, for example, a flying llama that breathes fire. We don't want it to be too high because then it might visit our nascent fortress too quickly and kill us easily, but if it's too low, there's not enough challenge. Natural savagery. This changes the prevalence of dangerous animals on the world. If it's too high, then everywhere is dangerous. If it's too low, then nowhere is dangerous. Medium is the perfect middle because you can really select where you want to settle down the world. If you want to have challenge later, you can just settle your second fortress somewhere with dangerous animals. So no need to change that either. Mineral occurrence, unless you really want the challenge of not having any minerals at all around you, it's really not worth it to change it from everywhere, because ideally every fortress needs some minerals. So we're happy with the default settings, so let's just click create world and wait for the map to be popped. Alright, and now the rivers and the mountains and the forests have been created, and we can see the civilizations evolve and spread throughout the landscape. And as we're closing into year 100, we can see that there's quite a few places actually quite empty for us, which is great. That's what I'm looking for. And the year is 100, it's the age of myth, and we're ready to play. Let's just click play now. And here we are. The game world is loaded, and now we can play. So what is this? This is the game side. So we have legends, which is for complete nerds, because this is where you can read about the 100 years of history that the world has been generated for, and after you have played some fortresses and you have some fortresses that either died or still exist, you can read about them too. Adventurer mode is an RPG mode where you can play as a single adventurer traversing the world and even visiting your fortresses, which is quite fun. But for now, that's not available. Anyway, the meat and bone of the game is fortress mode, so that's what we're gonna play. And the game is gonna generate a couple of weeks of more history. And here we are. Let's skip the tutorial because this video is the tutorial, so we don't need the game to teach us anything. And let's look for a nice place to settle down in. We're not looking for something that's too north because it's too cold and the water is frozen. Not too south either because it's too hot and the water is evaporating. We want a place where we don't have any problems with water, and that's temperate. So upper right corner shows you all of the things that you need to know about the tile that your mouse is over. So, for example, here we have temperature warm, trees woodland, and tame wild, and so on. If you look, you can see that there's a purple aquifer notifier. So that area contains all of the layers that we can find in this area. So on the top we can see there's clay, then there's very deep soil, then there's an aquifer layer, which is a layer of water, and under the aquifer lies gold, iron, silver, copper, nickel, zinc, platinum, tin, lead, and then a flux-stone layer. We don't like aquifer. Aquifer is very difficult to get past, so that's why we're looking for a more mineral-heavy area. So if we move a little bit here, maybe to the north, let's see, or maybe here, but I'm afraid that the civilizations are quite far. Let's see what we have. This is a tomb, human castle. So we have some humans here that we can trade with. So I'm thinking, nah, this has aquifer. I don't like aquifer. I hate aquifer. So let's look for a place that, oh, look at that. There's no aquifer here. So I want to settle down here. I will click here. This will give me a 4x4 selection. And yeah, so this is heavily forested. And this is the mineral heavy area that we want to settle down in. So I'm just gonna pick this area. And you can either select a pre-made profile for your embark. You can prepare carefully, or you can just click play now. And we're gonna click play now. Reason for that is you need a lot of time to prepare for the journey carefully. And that doesn't matter in the end. The default settings fit for any fortress anyway. Not that they're perfect, but it's not impossible to develop a great fortress out of the default 7 dwarfs. Okay, so let's see what is the name of our fortress. So it's a new chapter of dwarven history begins here at this place. Sigunland, or Tourseeds. That's a boring name. Strike the earth. Okay. What a reaction to strike the earth. Okay. I'm fine with that. Right, and here we are. So I'm using WASD to move around the map. Blah, blah, blah. And I can't see nothing. Because the game is so zoomed in that I can admire the sprites. They're really beautiful. But I can't manage nothing like this. So I'm gonna zoom out here. And yeah, this is... Okay, wait, maybe one more time. This is optimal, so I can see a lot and I can still admire the beautiful sprites that the game has created for. Now we're gonna start thinking about our next step. So first of all, what we want to do is to ensure that we have enough food and drink to survive, right? That's the bottom of the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Food, drink. What does this entail? So food could be fish, or it could be something else. It could be vegetables, or meat, or anything like that. Mostly for me though, it's usually fish. For drink, you might think water. No, water is not for drinking. Water is for sick people. True people, or non-sick people and non-children should drink beer or wine. So here's the basics of the first challenge. Making sure you have alcohol. The first pitfall that most players fall into is they don't make alcohol. And that's really bad. Alcohol drives the industriousness of our dwarves. And when they don't have alcohol, they start becoming slow and lazy. So to avoid that, we'll need to ensure that we have a steady production of alcohol. So let's start doing that. So if we click here, we can set digging orders. Now, what I'm looking for is having a dug-in fortress. You could actually make a fortress on the surface, but obviously we're dwarves. We don't like being outside. So let's dig in here. I usually do like a hallway 2x2 and then a sort of big area where I locate the staircase. And then once we select these, the staircase is the second option, by the way. So let's have this 2x2 staircase here, and I want to dig down. So that means that I will scroll down once, twice, maybe 3 times. There's no way of telling how much I will need in the end. Perhaps I can make this more symmetric. Okay, and now when I click space, the game is on pause and the miner will start digging the fortress. We actually should go and check out the labor window to make sure that only the miner is digging and that everyone else is doing something else, right? So let's just pause again. Let's click here. So the miner is digging and everyone else has no job. This is the creatures screen where we can see our citizens, our pets. Do we have an interesting pet? Stray boar, ram, water buffalo, yak, and some dogs and cats. Nothing unusual. Last time I had an elephant. We also have some wild turkeys around, which we could hunt for food. Then we have the tasks tab, which indicates all the tasks that our dwarves can be set up on. The places tab is for later. We don't need it right now. We don't have any places defined yet. Now, what we're looking for is the labor tab. So the labor tab will define how each dwarf works, what sort of tasks he will begin to do, and how he will approach it, he or she, they. So we have a miner here, and right now if we click here on miners, it says only selected do this. So only miners are gonna mine. We can do, everybody does this, but obviously not everybody can be a miner, right? Now another thing that we need to do about miner here, we need to change this setting. So what does this do? This worker is not specialized right now and will do 3 tasks. We don't want our miner to do anything else but mine, because there will be a lot of mining to do in this game and we want to have people focused on that. So let's click here. And now this means that this worker is specialized and will only do tasks that match their workshop assignments, work details, and occupations. So this means our miner is only going to do something that's specifically for miners. And miners mine. And that's how it should be. So let's leave this screen now and unpause. Now, while the miner is mining, let's build some workshops because we do need some production while the miner is working. Because we have 7 dwarves, only one of them is mining. So, stoneworker workshop, first of all. Second of all, we're going to have a mechanics workshop. Here we go. Third of all, we want to have a carpenter's workshop. Then, last but not least, spring is coming. Or actually, we're already in spring, so the brook will be unfrozen soon. As you can see, we need a fishery because we will catch a lot of fish, and it's just good to have access to a fishery that can clean up this fish and turn it into food we can actually eat. So now we have these workshops ready. Coming up next, we need to define some stockpiles. This is the stockpile button, hotkey P. So we have these 2 workshops here. This is the stoneworker and this is the mechanic. They both require stone. So how about we make a stockpile that will place all of their stone here. So this is a new stockpile. Let's accept it and then select stone here. Then we have a woodworker's workshop that will probably require a lot of wood. So let's do the same, but with wood. Wood. Coming next up, we have a fishery. So let's define a stockpile for food. Here we go. So we have 3 new stockpiles here, and then we need a 4th one for furniture, because our workshops will mostly be making furniture. Accept and furniture. Okay, now what I want the stoneworker to do, because our miner, and this is why it's so much better to build your fortress on the side of a mountain. Our stoneworker, I'm gonna pause. Our stoneworker will be using stone from the areas that the miner has mined out. And that's what we want, right? So we're just by expanding our base, we're generating resources that can be used to make furniture and so on. And that's great for us, right? I'm just quickly building an area for our farm. Yeah, let's just have 1 mine at first. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 farm. And yeah, I think it can function this way. So I'm building up a farm here, and this will be a control room, and you'll see what I mean by that. Yes, this seems perfect. So let's leave our miner to mine this out. And yeah, he's generating resources for our stone worker, who's gonna be making some tables. Let's click here. If you click here, then it will make the table on repeat and the rock throne on repeat. Throne is not just a throne, it's also just a chair. That's what we're looking for. I don't want to waste wood to make chairs out of. Then we need a couple of floodgates. Actually, we need them more urgently than anything else. So let's just make some floodgates as well. Mechanics will be making some mechanisms for these floodgates to function. And we'll need them for the farm. And you'll see later what I mean by that. Now, we have a carpenter, but he doesn't have any wood. So we need to use this order to define some trees that should be cut down. So this is more than enough. Soon the place will be full of wood, and the carpenter will be able to use that wood to make beds. Beds can only be made of wood, and that's why we require to be close to a forest. And of course, the fishery is not yet functional. But let's see. Yes, our fisher dwarf is already fishing here. So soon enough, there will be fish here, and somebody will come in to clean the fish and make it into food. I just I have a concern that I want to clear up. I hope that there's no aquifer here. There shouldn't be, but sometimes when I see sand in these places, I get scared. All right, so our woodworker is cutting down some trees, and some of the dwarves that are available, they're bringing the wood here. Oh. I think it would be a good idea to actually change this stockpile into a custom stockpile, because right now we're getting metal ores here too, and we don't have much use for metal ores, so I just want to deny the metal ores from coming in here, because our stoneworker can't use metal ores for these. These can only be made out of what's called non-economic rock. Also want some cabinets and bookcases for the rooms that I'm gonna make for our dwarves to live in. Okay, so far our area for the farm is being dug out, and that's good. I'm gonna start slowly digging the channel that will come from the brook. I'm trying to have the whole architectural project in my head somehow. Right, yeah. I think we can do it this way. So, what is gonna happen is I'm gonna dig out this channel here, and I'm gonna place a floodgate here, a floodgate here, and at the entrance of each farm. The reason being that I want to control how many and which farms are going to be flooded up with water. So we need to flood every underground area at least once to be able to have a farm here, because it needs to be a muddy place for it to function as a farm. And here we will put all the levers that will control these mechanisms. It's quite fun to work with mechanisms in Dwarf Fortress. You don't need a lot of knowledge to make them work. You just really make a bunch of mechanisms, right? As our woodworker here is making right now. And then you just place them as levers. Then you place a bunch of furniture, for example, floodgates, and then use the levers to control them. And all it takes to connect a lever to a piece of leverageable mechanism is just a mechanism, right? So it's not as complicated as like Minecraft. Okay, so this is done. Now we can start putting down some floodgates. So let's put the first floodgate here. We're gonna dig this out from outside later. Then we put the second floodgate here. But first of all, I want this person to get out. And a third floodgate at the entrance of the farm. And then we're gonna put some levers. So this is the main outside lever. Chains and fluids lever. This is the main inside lever, but not for a specific farm. And this is a lever for the main farm here. And now we have the farm almost ready. We just need all levers and mechanisms to be put in place. In the meantime, oh yeah, we don't have a problem with an aquifer here, so that's good news. Right, so I'm gonna start creating living spaces, but not right here where the farm is gonna be, and not here, right under the farm, because I assume that this might be flooded for a long time. And that will prevent us from digging underneath it, or at least it will make it dangerous. So 2 more levels. Here we go. This is where I want my main living area to be. So I'm just gonna make it 4x4, and then 2 squares wide hallways in each direction. Now I'm gonna start making a dining hall here. So right about this large. I don't know, I like to make them large because it's easier to make them very valuable. Dwarves are very happy to eat in hallways, in dining halls, which are sort of very expensive. And it's easier to make a dining hall expensive when you can just, carve it out. You can carve up everything, you can smooth the stone, and you can make some stone carvings, which makes it immediately much more expensive. And the dwarves are happier as a result. Right now, I'm just gonna make some, perhaps here we can have a dormitory, just for everyone, really. And we can start making some rooms. So dormitories are great because you will have migrants, and when those migrants arrive, you won't normally have enough space for them. So while you prepare space for your migrants, you can have them sleep in a dormitory, like a general room for everyone to sleep in for free. And ideally, you want your dwarves to have their own rooms because they will be much happier that way. So let's start linking the lever. So right now, this floodgate is closed. So we're gonna link it and open it. And once we're done with that, we're gonna start going with the other ones. So you want your dwarves to be happy because the more unhappier they are, the more likely they are to throw a tantrum and do something very stupid, like start a fight. And that causes a hell lot of problems. One fight could bring your fortress down if the right person falls. So we don't want that to happen. And the happier dwarves are, the less likely they are to throw a tantrum, the more resilient they are to bad events. Oh, what is happening here? There's a dog fighting. I wish these notifications would make sounds. Yeah, I see dog blood and giant flying squirrel. Huh, the poor dog was fighting a giant flying squirrel. That's scary. Right, let's stop making rock mechanisms. I think we have enough. Right, so this one is open now. Now let's link it to this lever and then pull it. And I can actually have our miner dig out here. So far so good. And we can ask the carpenter to start making beds. I just clicked R out of habit. That's a bad habit to have. But yeah, the game used to have different hotkeys. Now they're, for example, M for digging, but it used to be D for digging. Right, so it's a bit different now. and I'm still quite kind of used to the old hotkeys. But because of the UI being much better, we don't really need the hotkeys anymore. Right, so let's see what we found. Magnetite, that's good. Hematite, excellent. So we can make iron. Lignite or lignite, I don't know. You can make coal out of this. And bituminous coal as well, that's great. So we have everything we need to make steel, essentially. This is perfect. First of all, let's focus on getting this farm ready. So, and let's link it to the external floodgate. Let's pull it immediately. What is our miner up to? Maybe I should make him hurry up on... Yeah, let's just keep him from working too much here. I just want him to dig this place out. Where did the miner go? Let's see. Erosh to Nomatur. What are you doing? Oh yeah, he's digging out the dining hall. That's fine. Okay. So our channel is ready. All we need to do is to wait. Oh, additional thing that you can do, which is not strictly necessary, but it will foolproof your plan, is build a door at the entrance of the farm. Let's build a door here. Doors prevent water from spreading even further, but we're gonna control the water spread with these levers. We don't want too much water to come in right now. Yeah, okay, so as you can see, we have a steady supply of food, but drink is running out slowly. So that's why we need to have that farm up and running as soon as possible. Right, was more fighting. A giant hoary marmot. What's hoary? Right. Our dogs are like dying there out in the nature. Oh, well, what you can do. Now, speaking of wild animals running around, we should place some doors at the entrance. So I'm gonna put church doors, because it's much nicer when the doors are the same color. Right. Okay, now we just need to wait. Yes, and so the water is rushing in. Now, I think it's enough for the external floodgate and the... Yes, so enough water here. And slowly but surely we can start thinking about pulling the lever on the internal floodgate as well. Somebody's fighting. Word in the street is that the dogs are dying. Right, come on. So, what is the logic behind this? We don't want... Okay, let's start pulling some levers. We don't want there to be too much water in the farm. If it's over 1, and if we want to check the level of water, you can click here. If it's over 1, it will not evaporate. Only level 1 water evaporates. So we want this farm to be covered in level 1 water. So right now it's not enough, right? And it's starting to evaporate, which is great, but we need a little bit more. So let's open up this floodgate here, because it has just a little bit of water running around it, so we don't risk flooding it. And this is why I have so many floodgates in the first place, right? It makes it easier to manage the water that's running around here. It's so easy to get your fortress flooded. So let's open up this area again, just for a second. close it again. I'm trying to be very careful to save time. Obviously, I'm wasting time by being too careful. There's always a golden middle to everything. And yes, we're good now. We just need to wait for this to evaporate. In the meantime, let's order our dwarf, our minor dwarf, to continue mining here. So the dining hall is almost ready. We can start putting down some furniture here. So, table. So what I do normally is like this checkered pattern. The new version of Dwarf Fortress that's available on Steam allows you to put multiple tables at the same time, which is such a huge time saver. And you can click use close as material as well. You can also use mouse for it. Before, imagine everything that I'm doing right now you would do with keyboard. I don't know for sure if there was mouse support, but sure as hell I wasn't using mouse. I was doing everything with keyboard. It was a bit annoying in the end. And now we're putting chairs in between the tables. And we can start to define this as a dining area. But I want to have these niches here. I think some of them will be stairways. Yes, so these are going to be stairways down, where we're gonna have food stores. And in between, I'll put statues. So this is what I'm missing. I would like getting some statues here as well. So statues are great for just decoration and increasing the value of a place. So a dining hall that is high in value will be appreciated by our dwarves. Now, let's start furnishing these bedrooms. Hopefully we have enough beds. I think we do. Here we go. We have 8 bedrooms now. What else do we want to have? Doors. Hopefully we have 8 doors. Nope, we don't. Why do we want doors in the bedrooms? Why are they so important? It's because it makes it much easier to define bedrooms. So in this new version that's available on Steam, I'm not getting paid for this. You can click bedroom, click multi, and then just drag and drop. Just drag this selection tool, and it will make bedrooms out of any place that has a bed and is enclosed with a door. Right? So these are automatically created bedrooms. Now the rest of them we're gonna have to create manually. So we have to use the paint mode. Because the game only knows how to make a room out of a place that is enclosed. It doesn't know how to make a room out of a open place. Or should I say an open place? Not a native English speaker. Many years to learn the language. Anyway, so the niches, how do you pronounce that in English? Are dug out. I'm trying to make this place very beautiful. So I'm just going to dig some stairways here. So I'll click in the niche and then scroll down with my wheel. Click, scroll, click, scroll. And so I'm making these little stairways down. I'm gonna put all of the food stockpiles, so we don't have to go too far for them. And this is going to be the food stockpile. And then, why not have all of the industries associated with food making right here by the stockpiles? I'm just gonna have the same hallway as upstairs. But it doesn't have to follow the same logic because there's no housing here, so we don't need to wall everything in. You don't need to care too much about the value of the walls themselves or the floors even. So that's why it's fine to do it this way. So we want to define the dining hall. Let's do that here. Okay. And we have our dining hall. In the meantime, the farm is almost ready. So it is fine that there's number 1 level water here because that does not prevent us from building a farm. And we want to click workshops, farming, farm plot. And let's just build a farm plot over all of this area. And now the farm has been defined here. So our planter, Vabok Zephonidok, she's gonna build it here. And we want to do one more thing in the labor screen. So let's go to the labor menu. Do a very important thing. We need to go into standing orders and other. And here we will find this option, everybody harvest. We don't want everybody to harvest, because every time you harvest, you get skill in farming. And we only want our farmer to have all of the skill, because the farmer is going to be focusing on it. So they need to have as much skill as possible. And we can't waste it on just anybody, right? Like, amateurs should not be farming. Professional farmers is the way to go. And as we can see, we have built quite a few items here. We don't need more beds anymore, that's fine. Our food stock is increasing, but the drink stock is decreasing. So let's order some plum helmets. Let's select them for every season, because we're going to be making dwarven wine. And we only want to make wine out of it. We don't want it to be cooked in kitchens, right? Because we're gonna build some kitchens and some stills. So I see the area for the still already. Workshops and farming. And here we have still. So let's build one right here. So what it's gonna allow us to do is to turn plum helmets into dwarven wine that our dwarves can drink. And here's the difference between, we can also build a kitchen, and I will actually do that right now. Let's see, workshops, farming, and kitchen. So I'm gonna place it here. So what's the difference between a still and a kitchen and a fishery and so on? Kitchen allows you to make more complicated recipes, so food that makes dwarves even happier than normal food. But we don't want these kitchens to use plum helmets, because if a kitchen uses something in its recipe, it does not create a seed. If we make wine out of plum helmets, we will get the seeds, but we will not get them if we meet, like, plum helmet steaks or whatever. So let's pause the game. And let's go again to labor, and let's click on the kitchen tab. So here we have ingredient type plum helmets, permissions to cook and to be brewed. We don't want it to be cooked, but we do want it to be brewed. So let's keep it here. And now let's add a task to our still to keep making alcohol. So now we are ready. We are growing our plum helmets and we're making them into alcohol. So that means we don't have to worry about this drink number here being low, because we are a producer of drinks now. And we have almost 7 bedrooms. We build one more door, we can have all the 7. Yes. So let's, actually already we have all of the bedrooms that we need. So that means that our dwarves have places to stay in, but they're not very happy. 11 dwarves are meh. So let's make them happier. Let's make their brand own bedrooms have smoothed walls. They will appreciate that. And we can also start adding some furniture into their rooms. So for example, I think I ordered them to make cabinets, right? Yes, indeed. So we have cabinets now. This is so difficult. I wish I didn't ask them to carve it. But what I'm doing right now is I'm placing cabinets in each one of them rooms. Cabinets will make them happy because it's personal property, and dwarves love having personal property. We can also add some bookcases if we have. Yes, we do. Great. So let's add bookcases here as well. Our stone worker has been doing a great job. We're not lacking any furniture at all. And then last but not least, we can add some chests. No, we don't have any chests. Right, but this should be enough. This will make our dwarves considerably happier quite soon. Perhaps we can place some of those statues in the dining hall as well. Here we go. Statues incoming. And now that we have this area ready, we can define it as a food stockpile. Let's do that. Food. Beautiful. So we're making alcohol here. Now let's scroll up and see what our farm is doing. It's doing quite well, but as you can see, a lot of random people are engaged in farming. We don't want that. So let's go back to the labor menu. Let's select planters and let's make our planters. Whoa, we have more people. Okay, I'm sorry. I missed out on these notifications again. Let's pause. What are we having here? Somebody has created a masterpiece bed. That's quite nice. We have migrants who have arrived. So now we have 14 people. We need double the rooms. So I'll bear that in mind. Now an animal has grown to become a stray horse. Sure. We have struck some new minerals. Somebody has become a carpenter and it is now summer. And our dogs continue to fight everyone around them. Either way, let's just make sure that only planters actually, let's like to do this, right? So what I want to happen is that only planters engage in planting these, oh, it's a miller, but whatever. It's the same logic, right? So the miller and the planter we're going to be the ones that are tending to the farm and gaining all of the experience out of it. Damn, we have quite a few weaponsmiths and blacksmiths, which we don't need yet, which, well, we have somebody to carry rocks around anyway. And as you can see, the woodcutter, because they made a masterpiece, but they're now legendary, right? So I don't know what caused that to happen, but sometimes I guess that could happen by accident too. Normally it's when your carpenter or stoneworker gets possessed. They suddenly make something that's of exceptional quality a masterwork. But this time our woodcutter did it without actually being possessed. So that's quite interesting. Let's see. So if we look at the skills, we see it's a legendary woodcutter. Well, that's quite interesting. Right. Either way, now we have our farm ready. So the basis of our strong and growing fortress that's already 14 dwarves tall is here. So now we can relax a little bit because we're making drink. If you look here, you'll see that it's at 100 and just recently it was at 20. So we're making drink, we're making food, we're trying. So come back next time for us to start engaging in some dwarven economy, and then you'll see why it's much better to carve out a fortress in stone rather than clay. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, post them under in the comment section. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. That gives me more motivation to make these videos. And if you have any questions, once again, you can just post them in the commentary section. So thank you and bye.